for
the
today.
agenda. Yeah, I think.
I can grab it and put it in if you guys want. It wasn't very long.
No, it's just what was in your
Yeah.
invite, right? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, which I think was, I can probably even remember it.
Revisit norms for bargaining with Emily. And then training in IBB and hybrid, so with Emily, presumably. Set April 4th agenda, which doesn't sound like it's going to happen, and perspectives on the board meeting. So there's probably, I don't know, one that we can talk about without Emily.
We could do, yeah, I think maybe we want to talk about dates and agenda for sure, right? Like figuring out if we know, well, if we know what if we know we're going to dig next into compensation, when should we meet again? That's what I was trying to say, but not very articulately. So maybe picking the date or dates we want to come back together, which would partly determine the agenda. She could help us. Well, I think we'd need to, yeah, table the training of the hybrid. And did I miss that, you guys, or did we do that?
No, she didn't.
Okay.
We haven't gotten there.
Like, I can't imagine that would be very long, but if we could maybe prioritize that for an upcoming session. I promise not to talk too long, but I would like to talk a little bit about the board meeting, and I'd love to listen as well.
I think we would all like to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yes.
Then Q,
what about norms?
Oh, yeah. Did we ever do norms this year?
I don't think so, but do we want to do them now, or do we want to do them with Emily? Or like, I feel like we had them last year, but I couldn't tell you what they are or where they are.
I mean, to me, it would make sense to do them with Emily, since they, she's the one who, I guess you would say, would be enforcing them. I mean, we all enforce them, but as facilitator, it's kind of her job to enforce them.
Yep.
So that would make sense to me, but I'm totally open to doing them today if that's what folks want to do.
I'm comfortable with that because it fits really nicely, I think, into, and now here's this hybrid version of traditional bargaining or traditional negotiations and IBB. Like, I feel like that could be a chunk that she leads us through the first time we come back together. I can't imagine that would take much more than a half hour, but she'd be able to tell us that if we chunk those two things together. What do you think? You good with that? Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So norms and the hybrid training. And then maybe before we dig into the board meeting, should we decide when it makes sense to meet again? I have not paid attention today to anything that's happening down at the state, but I don't imagine we know anything today. I just know it's happening this week.
Yeah, no, I know that we have our update from our lobbyist, which, of course, is conversations that have been had and nothing that is concrete yet. So
Totally.
All I know is what I heard is it looks better than the governor's budget significantly, which is great news. But no, I couldn't give you any much more detail than that at this point.
So if we had April 4th scheduled without Emily, is it comfortable to come back a week later on the 11th? Because I think we have something scheduled then, probably with Emily.
Yeah, I think the 11th is the next one that she said she was available for.
Okay. And maybe we obviously we don't know until we know, but maybe we'll have more information by then.
Yeah, I would think so. And then after that, the next one is scheduled is April 25th. So we should definitely have more information by then.
Perfect. Okay. So what if I own canceling April 4th? Because I bet that's one that I scheduled for everyone. So I'll cancel that, but leave the 11th and everything on there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I'll put into the 11th agenda that we want to start with Emily's lovely facilitation for both norms. And I just keep saying the hybrid training, which is probably a terrible term for it. And
Should
then
call it
intentional bargaining, is that what I've heard?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll call it that. Would that be IB?
Seems
Same.
to be.
So I have then May 2nd and May 9th are the only other 2 dates, right? And then that's all we have. I just want to make sure my calendar is correct.
I
For
haven't
the
looked up
April
yet.
dates. So there's 2 dates in April and then May 2nd and May 9th.
Perfect. All right.
April 11th, April 25th, May 2nd, May 9th.
And I think those are all 3-hour chunks, right?
They're
Mhm.
long. They're very
Yeah.
long.
It's funny, we should have flipped in between last year and this year.
What do you mean? The,
Did a lot of language stuff last year that would have
oh,
been
yeah.
from the longer, more sessions. And then this year for mostly looking at compensation.
Totally. Totally. Okay. I will own kind of cleaning up those dates, you guys. And then Emily will be on there, so she'll get all that.
I don't have May 9th on my calendar.
Mine
But I
either.
can, I mean, I'm open, but
Let me peek on mine, you guys. I will remind everyone, May 10th is my birthday, in case you're wondering, and I am not quiet about it at all. And I love cake so much. Just saying. Ooh, I don't have it on mine either, but I can add it, you guys.
I think May 9th didn't work because I have pre-existing meetings on that.
Oh,
That
okay.
might- I have a couple recurring meetings on that day.
So we really only have April 11th, 26th, and May 2nd. Do we want to pick another day in May right now while we're thinking about it?
Not without Emily, probably, right?
Good point.
So, I mean, I guess we could email her and see if there's another date, or we could
Add it to the
hope that
agenda.
we got it, hope that we get it done.
Yeah. I will add that to I'll put a little note in the April 11th thing. My gut is it'd probably make good sense at that meeting and even ahead of time, to just block something out, and we can always cancel it, you guys, or we can cancel the 9th or whatever, but given how quickly Emily fills up. Need to select another May date, especially how busy May gets too.
Mhm.
So no 9th, and then we're gonna try and do one with Emily, or just, I'm sorry, I was putting up my phone. I wasn't paying attention.
That's okay. So what I have is April 11th and 26th, and then May 2nd, and in the little calendar thing that I'll send out for the 11th, I'll put in there, we want to do norms and our intentional bargaining training, and then right off the bat, select another May date just to have it on there, so we've got it. Maybe I'll highlight that with a note for Emily to email us all back when she sees that. So she's already thinking about what could work or not work, because May gets super busy.
That sounds great.
Okay,
Thank you.
totally. For Emily. Tell us what works. Jackie, do you get really busy in May?
Yes.
That's what I'm guessing. It's probably going to be you and Emily together trying to figure out what works, right?
Yeah, it's pretty likely.
Okay. Okie dokie.
But, bargaining tables take precedence over a lot of the other stuff we do. So we could probably work it out.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Okay. I feel like I should let you guys start with the board meeting stuff. I want to do a good job of listening.
I had one thought. And there were so many things shared that night that were not orchestrated by us. I mean, I had no idea about, had nothing to do with the parent presentations at all. And I didn't know if that was clear. I mean,
Yes, very.
I had no idea which parent was going to be presenting. And it seemed like they had a lot of questions, and there were, I mean, some of it was hard to listen to, I guess. But I wanted to make sure that was completely clear. beyond that, I felt like we really tried, you know, when I wrote what I wanted to present to the board, I really wanted to emphasize how much things have improved.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's, things are better, and we're grateful for that. But we also wanted to let them know that, you know, districts are doing things around the state, and we don't want to go back to those old times. And it seems like we wait until somebody does something to actually take action, and we'd like to maybe be leading it, or at least not always like, oh, they did it, so now we'll do it, or oh, they did it and now we'll do it like a lot less. Or, and I have to tell you, I took pictures, Q, of my bathroom. Oh, we need custodians, like we need people. I will share them with you. I mean, I shared them with Sandy because I thought TJ was coming through to do some kind of walkthrough. But it's just so upsetting to me that we can't fill some of those positions. And, you know, I ended up with a lovely aide, but she was the only applicant, you know, like, thank goodness, like, she's lovely, you know, like, so that was what we wanted to communicate, was that we thought it was going to be really well received. We really did. We were not doing something to piss people off, for lack of a good, or to even ruffle. We wanted the board to know what we're doing. Board members don't attend bargaining. So we felt like this was, last year we didn't do this, and we thought this was a way of informing the board of what was coming and what we were wanting to achieve. So I'll be quiet then. You know, maybe other people have better ways of expressing it. I'm sorry for that last word, but that's what we wanted. And we thought people would be grateful for the information and know that the information was delivered with the intent of keeping Clear Creek on the right path.
Do you guys have other stuff you want to share, or?
I don't know that there's anything different that I would say. We went at it with the best intentions. And we felt like it was going well, like we were expressing ourselves and it was appropriate, and it was heartfelt. And honestly, we were taken aback when we heard that it was interpreted a different way. So that was hard for us to wrap our heads around. And it took us a little while to form our response, our official response, which we sent you last week.
Thank you.
But yeah, we just want to move forward with the same positive intentions that we've had, collaborative like we've had, and open communication that we've had. That's really what our goal is.
I will say I came across a draft from several days before the board meeting, Q, that I had intended to send to you, and I had sent it to other people to just like make sure like it was sort of, you know, because I do that. I don't just fire off an email to you without like, you know, representing all of us. And I came across it and I was like, why didn't I send this? You know, it was just, it started out with, I wanted to let you know what we're, you know, the direction we're planning to head, and said something about a big a big ask in terms of increases, and it never got sent. I mean, so that's a regret I have, because, and we haven't been having our, you know, because we've had so many other meetings, we just haven't connected recently. And so I do wish that we had let you know ahead of time. I don't think it would have changed anything that we were going to do, but I wish we had done that. I wish I had sent that email. I can show it to you.
No, it's okay. I believe you.
You know, and I was just kind of looking for, I think I was looking, I don't know what I was looking for, but I came across it, and that was unfortunate.
Thank you. I'd be happy to talk, but I also don't want to. I don't know if Melanie or Jackie or Robin or Holly wants to share anything.
I mean, I think the most important voices are, you know, for
Yeah,
Polly
maybe
and
switch.
Jill and Melanie, right? Because this is about their working conditions.
Yes.
But I would say is from my perspective and what I do, that delivering these kinds of petitions and speaking to the board in addition to what we do here at the bargaining table is something I do routinely in other districts that I work in, where we have both good and more tense relationships. And that, you know, it's part of the larger goal of the advocacy on behalf of the members. I think also sometimes the bargaining table can feel a little inside baseball to some folks, and then can be a little, you know, insular, can feel, even when it's public, right? Some folks just feel like it's something that happens over there. And we have these three educators who speak for everyone. And the other forms of advocacy that we do are meant to show, you know, that it's not just the three people at the table, right? That we want to speak to the folks who are ultimate decision makers and let them know how widely felt and how much in agreement folks are across the district. And so, yeah, I was really sorry to hear that, you know, it caused an issue, because to me it was like, oh, but this is kind of just what we do. And I sometimes I think forget how quickly CCCEA has gone from kind of being very small and very quiet to very present. And so it was not intended to step on anybody's toes. It was just meant to use all of the avenues that are available to the educators in the district to speak to the folks who make decisions.
And as the one classified staff person on this team, you know, the people that I've spoken with, we see things differently than the teachers do, and we have different needs than the teachers do. And, you know, like you and I talked after the staff meeting, we have to have some kind of higher, somehow pay for new people to even want to come on. And, you know, my story is not because of what the district did. My story is from my life, you know, my history, and I didn't get into that part of it, but just to let people know where some of us are. And, you know, everybody has their lives, and I don't know Jill's personal life. I don't know any of you, you know, your personal life, but we all have them. And just to let people know what our situations are, and that we, you know, I see every day, you know, when our assistant principal is out driving a school bus, that's a concern. And, you know, I know that you share those feelings and thoughts, but it's just, you know, when they told me that some of the paras go to the food bank, and even some of our teachers have. And, you know, it's like when professional athletes get millions of dollars, and we're sitting here going, I need to go get food, you know, it's just, it's our society. It's not specifically the school district or this school district. It's everywhere. Educators just aren't as valued as we should be. So the support staff, we love being here, and we love our kids and supporting them and our teachers. And we value the positions we have in the community and with the school district. But I just wanted to share a little bit of perspective. And, you know, for me, whatever happens, it's not going to affect me greatly because of my age. But for people wanting to maybe come here, how can they? So, anyway, that's my extra 2 cents. But
Well, and the board has changed a lot over the last recently. And so, I mean, that's why I felt like the history that the little history I gave was appropriate. And also former boards have really wanted to hear from teachers. And so I guess we jumped and assumed that that was something that they would want to hear because we didn't really find out first.
Yeah.
But that in the past, I've had board members say, well, why didn't you let us know? Or why? So, and that's one of the reasons we have our association now, is so that we do have a way to communicate with the board. So I think we've all said pretty much, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think maybe some of the thoughts I can share might help a little bit and even kind of clarify the where I went with it afterwards. And I want to be careful. It's not about, and it shouldn't be about me. It's about our system, right? It's about how we work together now and how we work together in the future. That's more important than anything. We can all have our emotional impacts, and that happens because we're humans. But I think that's my bigger driver in processing this, is how do we continue to solidify our collaboration, our partnership, and our value for each other, so that long after any one of us is here anymore, it continues. That's really important. Polly, the words that you shared, it was amazing. I didn't disagree with anything you said in there. I mean, I remember as you were talking, I'm like, oh, that's like, I'm nodding because I want you to know I very much agree with a lot of the messages that were shared. I don't disagree with that at all. And you were sharing this, and it was that I'll be blunt, that was not a surprise to me. You had shared ahead of time, hey, during our update, our CCCEA update, I'm going to talk, and we're going to talk about compensation requests. And so I think I was very much prepared for that. And I love how you framed it. You talked so positively about, and the direction that we're going, it's the right direction, and all this, like, I don't disagree with anything that's in there. I loved that. So thank you for doing that. And I don't disagree with the messages that folks individually stood up and said at all. I think because I've really tried to push myself on, so what felt so different? I mean, I've been on negotiations teams for years, similar to Jackie, you're in and out of different teams, and some are super awesome, and others you're like, oh, this is a little sparkly. So, and have been in some really hot, tense situations. So I really tried to push myself on, why did this one feel so different to me? And there's small things, but I do think they're important as we think about how we work together, again, moving forward, because my goal is that it's really collaborative. I think not knowing ahead of time about the public comment, which we would never, I shouldn't say never, because the board could, but we don't typically shut down. Like, just knowing, I think I could have even been like, okay, so we're going to have, a number of employees come in and they're going to speak to why it's important to them. I think knowing that ahead of time may have been helpful as Athena, and I should contextualize it too. So as Polly, as you recognize, this was the same night that we had some not love letter comments from some of our parents, right? Our community members. We were ready for that as a board. I'd given the board little sheets about empathy and leaning into resistance and listening and not arguing, because I didn't want them to get into it with some of the potentially interesting public comment we'd get. I hadn't prepared myself or them for all the public comment. So maybe it was the surprise piece that caught me off guard. I can't speak for the board members, but that really caught me off guard. petition, and I know there have been petitions in other places where I've worked, but that caught me off guard. And it's not my role, obviously, to speak to what, kind of the different things that you might do as a union. I think when it's such a small district that just felt really uncomfortable to me. I'll just call it out. That, and again, shouldn't be about me. That, I think, with everything else, like, I just felt like I was sitting there wide-eyed, like, oh my gosh, I was just really, really surprised by all those pieces. I knew we'd have the ask. I knew we'd have good, really good comment by Polly. The petitions felt weird. And I don't know if this factors in or not, but you guys know me, like, I don't dance around stuff. I'll just say it. I had shared this with Jill before. I had seen a document like a month earlier, and I get unions. In fact, I shared with Jill, one of my first jobs in Westminster, I was on the union board. Like, I'm a big supporter of unions. I know management typically doesn't know it, but I am. I value this. I value the organization. I value all the wonderful things it does to really ensure great working conditions, and I value all that. I had seen some document that had used words like get them mad, place the blame. And I'd kind of pushed that aside, like, okay, I get it. But then that was like coming back to me as I was learning about the petitions, and I was like, eek, I feel like suddenly it's an us and them, and I'm the bad guy. And that felt really strange, because I've always thought of our relationship as very collaborative. I totally get that. You are responsible to your members. I'm responsible to the board, although I very much hold myself accountable to the entire organization. If the people who work in Clear Creek are not happy, if they don't feel valued, if they don't feel like their work is well compensated, it doesn't matter what I say or do. I have that core belief deep in my heart. So I think those things all together, suddenly I felt like I was sitting and watching a different dynamic unfold. And I had a hard time thinking about how do we move that forward. And yet you each know, like, I love each one of you. And I'm not just saying that, right? Like, I can sit and meet with each one of you, and we're doing deep, mucky work. And I would give you the shirt off my back. And I would love to give everyone a bazillion-dollar raise like that. I'm not just saying that to say that, like, that's who I am as a person. But it felt really strange that night. And I have to think about too, how do I guide the board around that? We'll get there, because I trust everyone. I think the maybe just a few other things, and then I promise I'll stop yammering. I totally understand wanting to get information directly to the board, and whether it's a big or a small district, that's a great value. I think the timing felt a little out of whack to me, and that doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there now, but that was part of my thinking too. Like, eek, we put everything out there around dollars. I would understand this advocacy if we'd gotten into the compensation conversations, but we hadn't yet. And that felt a little bit strange. And then with the board, I hadn't shared with you guys, you might know, well, you know it now from my email. As much as they can, they're trying to listen to the negotiation sessions. Hopefully we have some listening tonight. Hello, board members. Because they really do, they value that, and they want to hear directly. But I also understand bringing it to a public venue and the timing felt strange to me, but I get it. I get the need to want to go directly. I had one other piece, and it's left my brain. It'll come back to me. And I want to be careful we don't get into the actual negotiations around, because compensation will be big, right? Like, we've got to figure out what can we do and what's doable. And I want people to feel valued, but I also want to make sure we're we're also acknowledging that I feel like we've been pretty transparent as a board, but maybe as I'm listening to Polly and Jill and Melanie, that you weren't trying to negate that. You were trying to share the voice with the board, even though, you know, we'd been saying, here's the reserves and here's the financial picture. In my mind, I was thinking it was almost like, well, not that you're negating that, but awesome, you showed us this. Now we're going to make this really big ask. And I was like, that felt really strange. So just that. And then I cried all the way home. I shouldn't even say that, but I did. I was like, this is not the relationship I want. I love these, you know, I love everyone here. But I think it's because it matters. It matters to me so much that people are happy.
Hugh, do you mind if I put my social work hat on for a second?
Maybe.
So a lot of what I'm hearing, I think, is about a sense of feeling out of control of what happened, not knowing it was going to happen, not having been prepped for it, and maybe feeling a little bit out of control of the situation. Because I think part of it, and I think part of what we have discussed in our team is sometimes what we want to feel like is we're sharing power more, and it doesn't always feel like that. And so, you know, especially with the conversation around expanding our right to bargain, right? Last year, our conversations around negotiations, some of the things that Brent has specifically said around, we don't want language that will cause grievances. Like when I hear that as somebody who does this work, what I hear is I want language that's not enforceable, right? And so I think part of it is wanting to have the kind of relationship that includes tension that we have to work through. Because I feel like if there's not tension, I'm not sure that we're actually like moving places. And it's not that, you know, we want to be fighting. It's that we want to feel like we're moving stuff in ways that are meaningful. And sometimes that feels awful and is difficult. And it doesn't mean that the relationship is bad or fraught. It just means that it feels a little different when there's real pushback in different ways. And that's never intended. You know, I think, you know, your staff as well as I know your staff, and your staff, when we say like get folks like riled up, it's about like a lot of it, that's about funding, right? It's not about getting them mad at their principal. I don't want people to be mad at their principal. I want people to have a great relationship with them. I want to have a great relationship with you so we can go fight about funding at the Capitol where we belong together, right? And I say that all the time, and I really mean it. And these folks can tell you when you're not in the room, I say that all the time. But I think part of that is wanting to feel as though when we're having these conversations, we actually have the power to move things. And that required for folks to go to the board when the board are the direct decision makers and the folks who have the ultimate say. So that when we have conversations here in this room, we really feel like we're able to move things in ways that are important, but not in ways that are contentious or fighting, but just in ways that feel more productive from our perspective. Is that helpful?
The second part, yes. The first part kind of hits me wrong.
Sure.
It feels
You can tell me I'm way off base. That was that's what I was hearing. It doesn't mean I was right.
The first part feels, I don't think you meant it this way. It feels a little patronizing, and I don't think you meant it that way. And it feels a little, how can I say this? So I'll just repeat. I've been on negotiations teams before, and I'm okay with conflict. I'm okay. Maybe I spent too much time there in just my words recently. And I want to be careful. This is not about me. And yet I keep bringing it right back to. So I think if I go to some concrete places, the timing felt weird. I could have prepared the board a little bit. Even when I've worked on other teams, usually there's like those we might let each other know, hey, this is happening. Doesn't change that it's going to happen, but then you you know it's happening and you can prepare your board, or you can just, it's coming, or sometimes you, well, I'll leave it at that. So, but the second part, I definitely agree with. The first part, I'm like, well, maybe we just agree. I think we agree to disagree that the timing was right. You guys felt like it was right. I feel like it was a little bit wonky, the way it unfolded and happened. I think not just me, but now. And now I think we need to focus. How do we move forward?
I apologize if that came off as condescending, and I appreciate you pushing back on me if I was way off.
We had in our letter that we sent you, we had a paragraph that didn't really feel like it belonged there, so we took it out. And this is a perfect time to say what was in it, which is, Jill and I might not be typical, and you can help me, Jill, because you know what was in that paragraph too. We might not be completely typical president and vice president of a union. We do feel like our employees feel valued, and yes, compensation is tied to that, and so we're going to continue to push for that. But particularly in light of like how much classified or people who are getting paid hourly now, like that just has to be something that we push for, right? Like my aide almost quit mid-year, and then she's able to pick up these afternoon sessions now, and so she's not quitting, but she can't make ends meet. So anyway, I don't think it's about necessarily people feeling not valued, but Jill and I and Melanie and anybody on our board, we love the guidance we get from Jackie and Christine, and it's important to us, but we ultimately make decisions about what's best for our small little community. And oftentimes it doesn't involve necessarily agitating, but just informing. So the way we would probably approach that is to show some comps, which is why I always have comps. It's why we always bring comps to the table. It's why we shared it with the board. It's information, and then you can make your own decision. So I think that's come across before, that we aren't really typical association leaders. And part of it's because other people don't want to do our job. And we've both been here long enough that we understand how important it is to the district, so that it continues to move forward and have voices from all areas. But whatever you saw, I just want you to know that we make our decisions based on what we think is best for Clear Creek, not necessarily, or the state. We might make a decision based on what we think is best for the state, but it's just not really how we roll. You know what I mean? Like, and really that's how you've seen us behave, right?
Yeah, ultimate trust. Yep, thank you.
So that was one thing. And then the other thing was our timing, we thought, was proactive.
Yeah.
It sounds like, maybe not. But, that's what.
No, I get it. It helps to hear some of the thinking.
To be efficient, like now they know, and now we're going into bargaining, so they know they know our intent and our needs, and so now we'll go into bargaining and we'll do what we can. But the board has been informed. That was our thought.
Yeah, no, I get it. And it helps to hear you guys kind of think through it and talk through it. And I'd had a chance to do a little processing earlier, but it helps to process as a group too. So, yeah.
I really hate that I'm the only one who's emotional, but
I'm telling you, I cried the whole way home, and I was like, all I could think of was one of the, it was one of the parents was like waving his hands, and I was like, I'm just, yeah. Happens, right?
Well, and I do feel like our parents, the ones that attend or the ones that tune in, want this information, right? Like they're interested in what's happening in the, or at least some, like this is why they would be interested in coming to a board meeting or attending. So I do regret that I didn't get that email to you sooner, or ever. But I got busy, I guess, and I lost sight of it. But anyway, I do feel like our employees feel valued. Compensation is tied, and if other districts continue to go ahead, we've got to just make sure we are too. But the leadership in this district has changed significantly, and we were part of that because we were at the board meeting where the decision was made to search for somebody else rather than hire two part-time superintendents or whatever the plan was. So I guess that's why we really feel like we're important. And we also happy with what's happened and what we pushed for, because that was a night that CCCEA had presented. We weren't recognized yet, but we had presented, and it was a very long night. And the board made a decision to go in a different direction based on our action. So, and then we hired you. So,
Hey,
yay, yay.
hey.
I do
Well,
want
I
to
appreciate you guys
add
talking it
one
all
thing.
through. Like I said, I just
Something
want
Jackie
us
said
to
right in the middle there made me think of it.
create it so it's great beyond.
I spoke
us.
with one of the board members, and there was a bit of advice, not necessarily advice, but maybe reflection, offering for me to reflect that when relationships are developing, sometimes they feel yucky, which is kind of where we have landed at this point. But that means they're developing and they're growing, and we all have the intention to make it stronger and move forward positively.
Absolutely.
together. So I just wanted to share that because I thought it was profound.
Yeah, it is. And at the end of the day, that's what we all come back to. Robin or Holly, you guys have been really quiet.
I think I'm just absorbing. I feel like I don't have much to add. I just get nervous when, we hear what different stories about what's going on at the Capitol, because I'm up to date and current on what comes through school finance. So when you mention things like it's looking a lot better than the governor's, it's like, that's not what I'm hearing. So we'll just see what happens when we go into bargaining. I'm with Karen. It kind of just threw us off, but I'm still really brand new to bargaining. So I'm not really sure on like how the processes work. It just like the petition was new, and I think it just threw us off guard a little bit. And I think it's good that we're discussing this today and see what, sets the tone for moving forward. Other than that, I really don't have much more. I mean, I'm just, like Karen said, just going to be transparent with all the financials and going forward. And I appreciate you guys sharing your side as well.
We have really appreciated, I mean, I can't tell you how, when I get information from you in like 24 hours or less, that used to take 6 months. And then it wouldn't even be really the information we asked for. Like, it's just dramatically different and very appreciated. There was something else, if I don't write it down, I lose it, but there was something when you were talking that occurred to me, but if it comes to me, I'll chime in, but it has been extremely appreciated. Like it does feel like we're all working for the same thing, and it wasn't always that way before. So thank you, Holly. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you.
Robin, you unmuted.
I am unmuted, and I would agree with everything that Holly said. I don't really have anything to add to it, and I'm just glad we're talking about this and hope that we can move forward, positively, productively, with trust and and I don't know, just be able to come to something that just makes, works for everybody, I guess. So I would agree with everything you guys are saying and Q and Holly. So.
Well, I really appreciate you guys taking time to, again, kind of share your thinking. And I think that's really helpful. And maybe it's good that, we don't have Emily, because this is a nice format to be able to do that and think about it and kind of reaffirm that, yep, we understand each team's roles and the essence of bargaining, negotiations, whatever we want to call it. And we also really value the collaboration and the ability to do amazing things for the district, because we're stronger as a district that way. So I really appreciate it, you guys. So I'd give y'all virtual hugs if I was there. I would. I do.
Yeah.
But it's because you guys mean a lot to me.
Well, we value the relationship we feel like we built, and we want to continue to keep teachers, attract classified staff. I mean, that's, make sure that we have good educators and fill positions, and also, there was something that was said previously that has always bothered me, that we can't compete with Jefferson County, or we can't compete with other districts. And I think as soon as we say that, it's sort of like this like that's what's going to happen there, right? If that's what we say. And the other thing is, it's not necessarily true, and it shouldn't be true. And we should always be striving to be the best we can be, and not have that kind of mindset that, well, they do it because they have gambling money, or they do it because, I think I used to say, well, why not? Why not? You can do what you set out to do. I mean, I remember when we started paying for college, boy, I wanted to say to the kids, we can't do this. It's not going to happen, but we didn't do that. We figured it out, right? When there's something hard, we have two choices. And I've always wanted to say that, what if Clear Creek did things that other districts don't do, or did it better? Or let's not send that message to our community that we can't compete with other larger districts, or you get what I'm saying, I'm sure, right? It's just,
Yeah.
We want to be good and great. And we have a lot of educators really working hard right now to change curriculum and to bring in enrollment, and we're doing what we can. And let's just not say, we don't say it anymore, but sometimes I think there is sort of this undertone that we can't quite do. And I think it's limiting.
Yeah, I agree. You can feel it, and it's almost like you have to push against it. I agree. So.
I appreciate this time too. Thank you, everybody, for coming and taking time for it. And hopefully I'll stop being emotional. I feel kind of silly, but I don't cry easily, but I am passionate about some things.
Yep. And that's what makes you great at what you do. So how do we wrap up? I'm looking to Jackie. Jackie, wrap us up.
We could do, we've already set the agenda for next time, right? I don't know if we necessarily want to do a communication about this. Do we want to say that we came together and talked about the petition and essentially say, talked about, or does this require a shared communication? Because it was more kind of informal.
I'm sorry, you just jogged my memory on what I was going to respond to. And I just want to say it with Holly. The petition just meant that we were united. Maybe I don't know what a petition is, but to me, the petition meant that we were united, that everybody agreed, and we were representing everybody. that's what it meant to me. And that's, I think, what it meant to our team. And it wasn't like, I don't know, I mean, it was a way of showing that educators were on board with us.
Right? It was not meant to be aggressive.
I get
No,
it.
yeah, I didn't say that. It just caught us off guard because, petition's one thing, but you still have a budget to abide by. And, it's.
That's what bargaining
it's
is,
part of the
right?
bridge. Yep, that's part of the process. And that's just something that I'm not used to.
I do have a question. So we formally, the union formally responded to UQ in the letter. I'm just wondering if we need to send something similar to the board members, or is that something you feel comfortable sharing with them and had intended to do?
Yeah, so again, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them are listening. Right now, I'm trying to do a better job of getting links out to everyone. And I know at least a couple had asked me for a link, so that it might already be done. They may be listening and watching, I'll find out. And then I do a weekly update every Friday. I could put a note in there. Okay, yes, thanks, folks. Thank you. Yeah, I can make sure that they know that we came together and we talked and share the email. And yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. And then the other thing I'm thinking about, I don't know how this factors in or not. It doesn't really, but so I have a educator update that I was working on over the weekend that I'll had planned to send out either this afternoon or tomorrow morning. It's not going to happen this afternoon because I need to go back in and make some revisions. And I just found a really good meme that I'm going to put in there. I was trying to give some light to a little bit about the processor on calendar, which after we talked, I'm going to put some other stuff in, and then also, kind of budget development, negotiations. How does that look? I don't know. I have to think about how does our conversation do I revise anything? It's just very like black and white. Maybe I'll send it to you guys ahead of time, take a look at. I don't know if we could incorporate a shared message in there because it's kind of a left turn. I don't know. I have to think about that. Maybe I would put the question back on you guys in terms of, do you feel like you want to put something out to members that, hey, we had this conversation, or what do you guys think?
I think we put out, I think we need to communicate this to our members because
Okay.
a lot of our members, felt like we did initially,
Okay.
after board members board meetings. So we want to
Yeah.
follow up on that.
Okay.
So do we want to do a shared message right now? Is that what we're asking? Do we want to put that together?
That was my question.
Yeah.
Or do we want to, yeah.
I'm good with that. And
Okay.
it only has to be like 3 sentences, right?
Yeah.
Last time you guys all talked and told me what to write. And then I was like, I didn't get it down and I'm not a fast typer. And Jill was doing something else. And so I was stuck here for like an extra 15 minutes trying to remember everything. Well, I'm not, it's just like,
Yeah.
language like that. Like I can put out an email to parents in a second, but members, a little different. So if you tell me,
I
you want to
can
type
try.
it. Okay.
Try. I do need to get to your building to pick up my children though from drama club.
Oh, okay.
Melanie,
gotta find
I can hear.
You're a fast typer. Let's go for it.
Okay. Who's gonna riff?
The things that we did today were we firmed up the bargaining dates, and those are April 11th, April 26th, and May 2nd.
Yep.
And we will be looking for one more May date once we hear from Emily Reif.
Yep.
Hold on.
Okay, you will, because I've been there.
What is Emily's official title? Moderator, mediator, I don't know.
Facilitator, FMCS, Federal Mediation and
Federal,
Reconciliation
yeah.
Service.
Facilitator. That good, works for me.
Okay.
Okay, go.
Should we say something like we shared perspectives on the board meeting? And
Reaffirmed our commitment to
work collaboratively or
Collaboratively building the schools Clear Creek students deserve.
yeah, something like that. Or I was taking it to that place of like, and
Yeah.
in the big picture, and will,
Yep.
I don't even know what I was thinking, but yeah, something like that. How's that sound, Jill?
We shared perspectives on the board meeting and reaffirmed our commitment to collaboratively build the schools Clear Creek students deserve. That's what I wrote.
I think that's
Perfect.
perfect.
Many typos that I'll fix.
Thank you. Thanks for doing that, Jill.
Is that it?
And, you know,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Q, for coming back and opening the conversation up.
Yeah, thank you, you guys. Thank you for talking and listening and working together and all that good stuff. So that makes us stronger.
Thanks, everybody. Oh,
Can I close out on news that makes everyone happy every time I give it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So my husband and I are gonna have a baby in September.
Congratulations. Yay.
Huh?
Did you say it's a boy?
girl?
No, we found out it's a girl.
It's a girl. That's
It's a girl.
okay. That's good.
Congratulations. When are you due?
September 19th.
Nice.
You
Yeah.
can tell when she's on a Zoom call.
Yeah. You can't tell. It's not really show. I can tell, but most
But you're tall too. Like our fifth grade teacher is pregnant and she took forever to show.
yeah.
Tall.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
And so we're terrified. So if anybody has pro tips, we will accept them.
Oh, do I ever. Everything is better after you've eaten and slept.
Well, that's my rule of thumb now.
Yes, but it's imperative with a child because things will make you cry and you just need to say, I need to lie
Just
down
eat
and
and
eat
sleep.
something.
That's a good one. Thank you. That's the
And
most
probably,
practical advice
and
anybody.
probably, yeah, and probably don't listen to all the pro tips.
Fair. Oh, I've done some filtering
Yeah,
already.
that'll drive you crazy.
I got a good one from my cousin though. And it
Yeah.
was, if it might get poop on it, have two.
That is really good.
I
We
know
could
that.
use that like in bigger than
Holly
baby
knows.
size. Like that could be good for lots of other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. Are
Yeah.
you excited? Or are you?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, lots going on. It's a lot to like.
Yeah. It's like it's still pretty surreal. But
Try to
yes.
find lots of like handy down stuff because they grow so fast.
Yeah.
Bathtubs, gates, everything.
Mhm.
So,
I feel like we're on the end of like a bunch of our friends who had kids, so we're like late to the party. So we're just gonna go shopping in the graveyard of their baby stuff, right?
so smart. There's no need to buy new. Yeah.
Oh God, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Who do I send this 2-sentence summary to? So I'll send it to Brittany and have her send it out to membership. Q.
Yeah.
do I send- Okay,
I'll send it to leaders. Yeah.
all right, cool. Got it. Didn't want to miss that. Okay,
Okay.
All right.
Well,
It's
thank you,
great seeing
everybody.
thank you.
Bye.
Awesome news,
11.
Jackie.